Got it.
Okay,
Continue.
hello. This is Del Chatterson in Montreal and Anne Lambert, not far from Montreal, I think. Anne, how are you? Where are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm in St. Lucie, north of Montreal.
Northeast of Montreal?
Yeah.
We're both professional author members of Crime Writers of Canada, and I'm the regional representative for Quebec and Atlantic Canada. Anne and I have exchanged a few stories and experiences as writers. We're both fairly recent writers. We're not new at everything we do, but writing crime fiction is fairly new for both of us. I'll let Anne introduce herself in a moment. I'll just give you a quick introduction to me, which if you've been looking at these videos or seeing these videos on Crime Writers of Canada YouTube channel, you've probably already tired of hearing my story, but I am an author of the Dale Hunter series, 3 novels about my experience as an entrepreneur at TTX Computer Products was my real company. In the book, it's called 3D Computer Products. Anyway, and Dale Hunter is the simulated Del Chatterson, and it's not my true life story or confessions of crime and corruption. It's mostly fiction, and it's about my worst nightmares, most of which didn't happen. 3 novels in a series called No Easy Money, Simply the Best, and Merger Maniac. So it's a novel, bit crime fiction, business fiction, with the entrepreneur and his buddy Frank the Fixer as the heroes. And I've been getting fairly good reviews, and I'm enjoying writing them. And I just finished number 4, coming soon, called Bad Boys in Boston, which takes me out of Montreal. That's my story. Anne and I are going to speak a little bit about the novels we're writing currently and the ones that she has just written that have a bit of a social message. So that's kind of the theme for today's conversation, how to include a social message and some social advocacy in what is meant to be an entertaining book of fiction. Anne, sorry, it's your turn in the spotlight. Tell us about your books and yourself.
Well, I'm Anne Lambert, and I'm fairly new to the crime writing scene. I'm a playwright. I've been a playwright for a long time, over 35 years, and a director. And I was a professor at Dawson College until last fall, and here in Montreal. And so, yeah, a few years ago, I decided I was going to write a coming of age book, and decided at one point I'd like to actually sell the book. So I put a murder at the heart of it. I turned it into a murder mystery. And that book became this one, which I have here, The Birds That Stay. And that
coming of age to what age? It's not about.
Well, it was sort of tracing Quebec from the 60s to the current day, sort of following Marie Russell, this character. Yeah, The Birds That Stay. And then there was always an act of violence actually at the heart of that book. So I just kind of took that and sort of wove it into the book a little more fully. So this is the first in the Russell and Leduc murder mystery series. And just quickly, they feature seasoned homicide detective Romeo Leduc, I like to say that instead of 50 something, and Marie Russell, who's 10 years older. And she's a marine biologist and college professor. And in The Birds That Stay, they get together to solve a murder in a little Laurentian village, very similar to the one I happen to be in right now, in the Laurentians of Quebec. And this takes them on a wild ride to uncover a secret from Marie's past in a quiet suburb of Montreal, and then even further back into darker days in Canadian history. And in The Dogs of Winter, which is the second book in the Marie Russell and Romeo Leduc series, which is this one.
That's the first one. This is the second. Sorry.
The Dogs of Winter. This came out last October. Marie and Romeo team up again to catch a killer who is targeting the homeless on the frigid streets of Montreal. But the investigation is complicated by public indifference and systemic racism. And meanwhile, Marie's star student is the victim of a terrible assault, and Marie and Romeo have a big decision also to make about their life together. So I'm very drawn to stories that have several sort of main plots running through them that are interwoven. I'm very drawn to, I think, more complex, contradictory characters, a strong sense of place, and stories that that weave individual and personal stories against a kind of larger political and social backdrop. That's I've been interested in that kind of writing my whole life. That's not just in crime fiction. I wrote plays that were always sort of looking at the intersection of the personal and the political. That's just what interests me. So
yeah, I should mention that your mention of place, the congratulations on your making the short list for the Crime Writers of Canada Award of Excellence for novels written in Canada. Canadian location.
Thank you. Yeah, I was delighted about that.
That was your second novel or your first that was submitted?
My second novel was a finalist for that award. My first novel, The Birds That Stay, was a finalist for the Concordia First Novel Award.
Okay.
So yeah, so maybe the third one, which I've just started now, I'll win an award.
Yeah, well, that's it. Second, shortlisted is good.
It is great. It is.
And, and I recommend them. I've read them both, and as you know, my wife also likes your books, and that led from one thing to another. And you've been doing presentations, which kind of leads me to the question about on the social advocacy issues. You've written about homelessness and racism and neglect of Indigenous communities. Spousal abuse, even, or domestic abuse. My latest novel, Bad Boys in Boston, the bad boys are actually running a sex ring in Boston and producing illegal porn videos. So it's driven a little bit by the knowledge of Pornhub here in Montreal,
right,
which is currently in front of a House of Commons committee and under legal investigation and class action lawsuits for abuse of women and children in their videos that they sell on or show online. So those are difficult subjects to kind of include in escapist fiction or novels, crime fiction, whatever it is that people picked up the book for. They may not be expecting to get quite so much of that. They're maybe trying to escape all the bad news that they see on TV or read in the newspapers. How did you and your editors and publisher arrive at what you all agreed was a good balance?
I don't know that so much that my editors and publisher agreed to that. I mean, I wrote, I guess it's more, although The Birds That Stay certainly addresses social issues, certainly like family dysfunction and sexual abuse. They sound terribly, humorless. They're not. My books actually, I think, are quite funny, but so just saying that. But certainly there's big issues addressed in both books. I don't know that there was, to be perfectly honest, I don't know that there was that much of a conversation. I think it was the fact that I included those issues in the books that make my particular publisher like them, because Second Story Press is a feminist, social justice oriented publisher. So to them, that's kind of what sold them the books. It wasn't so much, I think, having to.
I think that's part of the appeal for readers too, because they want to know who is the writer, what's their, maybe not necessarily their political leanings, but at least what kind of character are they.
Yeah.
The beliefs and value systems are what attracts customers, readers, in whatever business you're in. And in this case, we're trying to get people to find us appealing as writers, and the stories, the characters in the stories too.
Exactly. So, I mean, in The Dogs of Winter, for example, I really wanted to look at, well, quite a few things, but one thing was kind of